Hey everyone, it's Suzi here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a first look at Li Bu, an ancient exclusive hero that's a bond pair with our next limited hero, Dao Chan. Yes, so we have another bond pair coming to the mix, and I wanted to do my read through, checking out the skills, and see what I initially think of him and where he might be useful. We're also going to read through his lore as well, which you can tell by these super cool visuals and everything that's been put out so far for the Valentine's Day events, that he's definitely got a story behind him. And his little lover there, right? Really cool. Li Bu, the flying general. So let's dive in. We just finished watching the cinematic for the sake of summoning. So let's take a look at his visuals. I forgot to zoom in more with Dao Chan. My bad. But look at his visuals. Really cool with this mask. Although honestly, he's kind of not what I'd expect. I feel like he needs a little something. I feel like he's missing something. But I do like this darkness kind of radiating off him. It's a really interesting effect. It's like, I don't know what that's kind of... I guess it's just kind of showing that he's got a little bit of, yeah, darkness inside him, coming outside of him. Just kidding. Okay, so I think the weird part for me in the cinematic, which was played in the trailer as well, with the audio on, his voice is like a skinny white dude, and he's this amazing Asian fighter who is huge, buff, big guy. He should definitely have a deeper voice. I thought the voice acting choice for his lines were a very strange choice, so that'll be some of my criticism that I guess go along with the aesthetic side of things. Just the audio instead of visual. But alright, graphic-wise, he's alright. I feel like he's missing something, though. I don't know what quite that is, but I feel like he's missing something. But his weapon looks amazing. Oh my goodness. The weapon's really cool. And I'm glad he actually has a cinematic as well. Alright, so let's dive into the basics. He's a chaotic and northerner. He is the flying general. Li Bu, once driven by an insatiable hunger for power and possessing unrivaled invincibility, now stands corrupted by chaos. His unmatched might has twisted into savage fury. Upon entering the deep descent state, Li Bu gains independent HP, transforming into a demon god that strikes terror into the very fabric of creation. Alright, multi-target attack, durability, range boost. He is a fighter that deals normal damage. I like to see that from, I guess, yeah, we had so many magic fighters for so long that it's good that they're just doing some normal fighters as well. And he does have good range. He has a few tiles, so that will definitely be important. All right, his main stats. All right, let's see, 60, same range, doesn't go up with his level at least, or promotions. Almost 20,000 base HP, 3,000 defense, so that's solid. Attack is 5,400. Cost is 20, a little more, but I guess it's typical of a lot of the fighters. Attack interval 2.6 seconds, and 100 attack speed as always. All right. Rage regen auto 12. Okay, that's better. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty though. I've seen some mixed reviews on this character, which is really funny. I saw Fastidious do a funny post of like, gotta love YouTube, where it's like, one person's like, oh my god, he's so amazing. I can't wait to get him. He's so freaking overpowered. And the next guy is, Li Bu's trash. No thank you. Whatever. And you're like, that's what opinions are for, right? We all have different ones, and I think it's interesting. I have no idea the truth behind or which side of that conversation's correct. Maybe he is overpowered for some things and terrible for others, but I expect that to be the case for almost any hero. But let's see, does he sound a little bit underwhelming? That does seem to be the general consensus when I read some YouTube comments. and saw a little bit of Discord discussion that he's a little underwhelming for him being such an important character, and especially one that's going to be ancient exclusive. So his talent, every 12 seconds, the next basic attack consumes 15% of current HP to gain Chaos Strike, which is dealing 320% AoE damage to up to 10 enemies in a large area ahead. Okay, that sounds, wait, every 12 seconds. So 12 seconds, not based on his attack speed, so that's interesting. All right, when deployed, immediately enters Deep Descent and gains enhancement effects of the ultimate Dark Star, but cannot use the ultimate during the state. So when he is deployed, Deep Descent enters a state with independent HP and starts with 65% HP. When Chaos Strike is triggered, inflicts 50% slow for 3 seconds. When receiving fatal damage in the state, exits the state and restores 50% HP. So he does have a prevention of death, so maybe an arena guy. Or maybe even Guild War. I guess we'll see. When HP drops below 65%, Chaos Strike triggered interval is reduced by 2 seconds. Okay. So it's 12 seconds, but it's only 10 seconds if his HP is under 65%. So typical chaotic unit, they like to live on the dangerously. They like to cut their HP, sacrifice to do damage and all that fun stuff. So it's definitely fitting for the faction. His basic attack deals 100% AoE damage to up to 5 enemies. Dark Star, this is the ultimate. Immediately enters Deep Descent. Upon reaching the maximum power, immediately enters Deep Descent and gains... Wait. Immediately enters Deep Descent. Upon reaching the power, immediately enters Deep Descent. And I think there's a weird translation here. And gains enhancement effects that are increases own attack by 30% and reduces the trigger interval of Chaos Strike by an extra 2 seconds. So down to 8 seconds when his HP is below 65%, which is also going to trigger those slows. Okay. Passive. When not in Deep Descent, gains 0.5% rage when attacking enemies. For every 20% max HP of damage taken, gains 1% rage. For both effects double when the current HP drops below 50%. So they're pretty much going to try to keep him in this Deep Descent state as much as possible. So he can just constantly have chances to restore his HP and not take fatal damage. So it's not like once per battle. He has a lot of chances. He's gonna have more than one, not just at the start of a battle, have a chance to prevent fatal damage, right? He's gonna re-enter this Deep Descent state often, which means he won't die often. That seems really good. I mean, maybe it's just more of a PvP thing and people don't care. So that might be it. Yeah. I bet his damage itself is not crazy. And that might be part of the meh. Alright, when HP is below 65%, increases damage by 20%. For each ally within 2 tiles with HP below 65%, increases damage by 10%. Up to 30% increase when the hero or an ally's HP drops below 65%. And for the first time, he gains 20% rage. Okay. I mean, the damage sounds like it should be solid, to be fair. There's this extra Chaos Strike that's 320% AoE damage, 10 enemies in a large area. That's just... Plus, his basic is an AoE, and he boosts his attack when he enters Deep Descent using his ultimate. I don't know. It sounds solid to me. But it does... This just reads to me like... you know, arena. Or, or AoE, like arena type stuff. Or, I guess, Guild War. But let's see the passive when we also have Dao Chan. So obtain the hero of her, of course, her, just to unlock the following. Increases the duration of deep descent and enhancement state from his ultimate Dark Star gained upon deployment by 15 seconds. That's a long time to have a chance to keep preventing death. When receiving fatal damage in the states, exit the state and restores 50% HP. That's a long time to have that keep being triggered. Yeah, I don't know. Like a typical chaotic unit, I think he just sounds quirky and maybe a little bit complicated in figuring out how to maximize his damage based on his health. Like letting him die a little bit, like that's one of those things that's kind of hard to balance because it's like you want to heal him, but you don't want to heal him too much. Maybe this is one of those hollow situations where you let her be a shitty healer so she's boosting rage more often, but she's at least healing a little bit, enough. Maybe she'd pair well in a team with him where you don't want to... Yeah, you want as much rage as possible, rage boosting as possible, but you don't want super full HP all the time. Oh boy. Yeah, these chaotic units are interesting. I don't know that it's a fun concept for sure, but when it comes to arena, I don't know that that's my favorite style of gameplay. Like relying on almost dying to do more damage or always or thriving under the chaos. I don't know that that's my forte, but I like it as a concept overall. I think it's fun to have that sort of a quirky dynamic, and learning to master that is an art in itself, I'm sure. All right, and his other passive for arena is increased damage in the arena by 15%. So yeah, I think he's just an arena guy. Maybe Gear Raid 1 early stages. If you pull him and you're a new player, he's gonna be amazing for Gear Raid 1. Is he gonna be great up top? Do we need magic damage up top in Gear Dungeon 1? Or is it just AoE fighter? I actually can't remember if it has to be magic damage or not. Could be a place if we need just AoE fighting. Someone to block up there and not die, because he prevents himself from dying so often. Alright, I think he's quirky, but yeah, a little bit niche maybe, and maybe that's why he feels a little underwhelming. Alright, Awakenings. Awaken 1. Alright, enhances... So this, the basic attack, if I could talk, increases basic attack range by 1 tile. If the enemy is not blocked, increases damage taken by 20%. Awaken 2, cost -2. Oh, I like that for arena especially. Awaken 3 increases Chaos Strike damage multiplier by 40% and executes enemies with HP below 15%. Elite monsters and bosses are excluded. That's cool. That's really helpful. I love those execution type things. Then you could really dive into some team synergy and timing those ultimates. But definitely, some of this isn't going to matter. Like, this doesn't matter for Guild War, but it will for Arena. Awaken 4 is actually the plus 300 attack. That's interesting. They swapped these two where they normally would have them. I like that though, because I think the -2 is more impactful than just 300 attack. Although 300 attack is actually quite a lot for these characters usually, unless they're crazy, crazy high. Alright. So Awaken 5. When under deep descent and enhanced state, taking fatal damage ends these states. Instead, become immune to that damage and reduces the duration of deep descent enhancement state by 5 seconds. Okay, so instead of being in that state longer, he just has this state of immunity. I will not instantly end these states, though. Okay. So if you're like about... I guess this is a cool thing. So if you're gonna die, and you get triggered because of deep descent, it would turn off deep descent. You have to wait to trigger it again. But instead of having to re-trigger it again, Or, yeah, instead of having to turn it off. Or, how do you... Instead of ending that state when you get that triggered, you just have a shorter duration of being in that state period, but you take no damage. Instead of having to worry about dying. Ah, I don't know. Okay. I'm trying to think of the situation. So the reason I'm like thinking slowly is I'm just trying to figure out, so when is that going to be better versus, like, is that better all the time, or are there certain situations where you'd rather just have the deep descent longer? I guess in the beginning of a battle when things are a little bit slow, but once things are crazy and things are building up, you kind of, okay, the Awaken 5 in Guild War, once the battle's ramping up and you got multiple enemies coming at you, that's going to definitely be a huge, huge bonus to just be immune to damage. And by the time, I mean, assuming with all the other stuff involved and the rage boosting, by the time you actually need to trigger Deep Descent again, you probably can. So does it need to, like, so by reducing the duration by 5 seconds, but being immune to damage, that does sound like it would actually be more beneficial, especially in a Guild War. Maybe I'm thinking of that wrong, but I feel like that sounds like a Guild War. Things are starting to get crazy, you're trying to survive, you got multiple enemies stacking up. Now's the time to... Yeah, I feel like that's a Guild War. But let me know in the comments below, guys, where do you think you'd want to use this hero? Are his awakenings good enough to use soul stones on him? Obviously, we mean those unpolished ones only because you want to save the full ones for lords. But yeah, there's just so many interesting characters coming out that I feel like he would not get any soul stones for a while unless you just happen to pull dupes of him while doing summons for Iovar or something. Like I'm gonna definitely try to do if I have any summons on my main account. Personally, I have Sun Wukong that I would like to take to Awaken 3, maybe Awaken 5, and if I get Dao Chan, then Dao Chan, I'm butchering her name now. Then I want to awaken her to Awaken 5 as soon as possible as well, because her awakenings are really good. It's another one where you, like Sun Wukong, where I feel like you might need their awakenings to really feel like they're amazing. Like, they're gonna be cool. And if they're amazing characters, they are worth getting, because even if it's a long-term investment, trying to awaken them over time, once you finally do get them awakened, you're excited and they're amazing. It's like what? Silas. Arrogance. Like, how amazing does Arrogance get? How much more damage does he really do once you take him all the way to Awaken 5? Like, totally worth the wait. And it's so exciting when it finally happens. That same can be true for any of these characters that need better awakenings. It's just playing the long game. So I still think you should try to go for them if you, yeah. If you're gonna go for her, you kind of want the bond pair to make her better, even if you don't care about this guy's kit. So either way, it sounds like a must-pull to me. Alright, sorry, this was a longer video, guys. There's a lot to look at with this guy's kit. And these chaotic faction heroes are always a bit complicated, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you seen any testing on this character? What do you think based on watching that testing? Let us know in the comments, but now, you know what time it is. It's time for the lore. Throes of ambition. Long divided, the empire must unite. Long united, it must divide. The Masoon Annals. Very often, the larger the crisis looms, the closer the world is drawn together. In Taya, however, the opposite rings true. For even as vast landscapes and distant horizons remain shrouded in mystery, familiar clues continue to dot its pages, and tired tragedies play time and again. Even on the shores of its eastern continent, the fate of Li Bu, a young, larger-than-life warrior, could not emerge unscathed from the chaos sweeping the land. Scouted as a boy for his natural talent with horses, Li Bu's sharp instincts and fearlessness soon earned him command as a cavalry regiment. His victories earned him recognition, but when denied a seat in the capital court in the wake of its collapse, his impatience festered into resentment, and resentment into hatred. What Li Bu failed to recognize were the undercurrents of a deeper war being waged. So when approached in secret by a man known as Dong Zhuo, who offered him consolation, he was caught off guard by a decisive proposal. Join hands with the large junta in the east and secure a role in the rise of Dong's new empire. The cost was simple: deliver the head of his own commander as a token of loyalty. The choice haunted Li Bu, but the allure of Dong Zhuo's promise proved irresistible. Late one night, beneath the shadow of the barracks, he struck down the man who mentored him, trading his honor for ambition. As Li Bu delivered the head to Dong Zhuo, the warlord smiled and placed what felt like a devil's hand upon his shoulder. Under Dong Zhuo's banner, Li Bu's legend grew, becoming the warlord's enforcer, with his victories spreading fear and carnage across the land. Yet, amidst the bloodshed, something unexpected happened. Enter Diao Chen. Like the dawn that follows a storm, her presence was gentle yet magnetic. For the first time in many moons, Li Bu felt something stir within him beyond ambition. Diao Chen's beauty only was matched by her quiet strength, her voice softening with the whispers of chaos that begun to plague him, offering a fleeting vision of redemption. While their connection deepened, it remained shrouded in secrecy, for she indeed belonged to Dong Zhuo. In a subtle way, Diao Chen's compassion began to temper the darkness within him, rekindling bits of his humanity. Yet, even as she healed his heart, her presence introduced a dangerous tension. Dong Zhuo's possessiveness toward her was no secret, and Li Bu found himself caught between his burgeoning desires and his loyalty to the figure who raised him to power. He began to spiral. As Diao Chen pleaded with Li Bu to see reason, the resentment he harbored clouded his mind. Her words, though spoken with sincerity, felt poisoned, as if carried Dong Zhuo's manipulations. Whispers of chaos grew deafening, urging him to strike, promising him a legacy of fire and steel, with Diao Chen by his side. Under a blood-red sky, Li Bu now stands at the threshold of betrayal, a shadow of his former self locked in the battle between love, loyalty, and madness. As the storm within him reaches its apex, the man who was Li Bu descended further into the void, consumed by the chaos, which shall remain as a question only time may answer.